At 6:03 local time, 2 American warships cut through the Strait of Hormuz in full daylight. No mines detonated. No Iranian vessel intercepted them. No warning shots were fired. If Iran's blockade was real, this should have been the moment it revealed itself. Instead, the water stayed still. The ships kept moving. And somewhere in Tehran, a bluff sat on the table with no one left to call it. Before we dive in, comment where you are watching from and click subscribe. 14 million barrels of oil pass through this strait every single day. That is 21% of global petroleum consumption moving through a channel just 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. A single sunken tanker here costs $8 billion in immediate cleanup and clogs shipping for months. Yet a single misread radar blip can cascade into war in under 11 minutes. The decision that cannot be undone is not the transit itself, it is Iran's public declaration that mines were already in the water. Once you tell the world a trap exists, you either spring it or you lose everything, and this morning nothing sprang. That is why this moment is permanent. Not because 2 ships moved, because they moved and nothing happened. That silence is louder than any explosion. To understand what just unfolded, start at the smallest scale. The Strait of Hormuz is not a river, it is a geological throat. The shipping lane is only 2 miles wide on each side of a median line. Tankers pass in opposite directions, separated by less space than a highway interchange. At depths averaging around 200 feet, the seabed is muddy and uneven. If you wanted to deny passage to every vessel, this is where you would do it. A single bottom influence mine, a contact mine sitting on the sediment like a buried stone, can rupture a hull at 400 pounds per square inch of shockwave pressure. That is the force of a freight train hitting a wall. The opposite of that is what the American crews felt. Nothing, no shutter, no alarm, just open water and radar returns showing empty sea. Iran said mines were there. A deputy foreign minister confirmed it on April 9th. He framed it carefully. The strait is open, he said, but wartime conditions require coordination. Ships must contact Iranian military points before transiting. He described technical limitations. He invoked the narrowness of the channel. He implied Iran holds the map. Now think of this like a home security system. You tell your neighbors every door has a silent alarm. You post signs. You want them to believe crossing the threshold is dangerous even if the sensors are disconnected. The fear is the lock. That is what Iran was attempting. Psychological mine warfare without confirmed physical verification. But here is the contradiction that breaks the illusion. A New York Times report published days before the transit suggested Iranian forces may not be able to locate their own mines. Either mapping was never completed or the personnel who deployed them are gone. Israeli strikes over recent months have degraded Iranian naval command structures. Officers who understood placement coordinates may have been killed or cut off. Imagine burying a dozen time capsules in a field and losing the notebook. You know something is down there, you do not know where. Yet you cannot warn ships with precision. You can only warn everyone. That is not control. That is desperation dressed as authority. Now expand outward to the transit itself. 2 U.S. Navy warships, identity confirmed through satellite automatic identification system data, entered from the east at approximately 600 local time. Course was steady westbound, speed roughly 20 knots. That is fast enough to limit exposure, but slow enough to be tracked by anyone watching. They crossed the strait, entered the Persian Gulf, loitered, then turned and came back. Total elapsed time, several hours. Every AIS ping was public. Every commercial ship in the region saw them. This was not a covert insertion. This was a statement written in radar signatures. Iranian state media responded with a recording. Yet a voice claiming to be an Iranian naval station ordering Coalition Warship 121 to alter course, go back to the Indian Ocean immediately, or be targeted. Then a reply, Coalition Warship 121 engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. That recording exists, But here is what matters. Multiple independent outlets, including maritime tracking services, confirmed the American ships did not turn back. Their AIS tracks show continuous transit. If you look at the plotted course overlaid on the Strait's navigational chart, you will notice no deviation, no zigzag, no evasive pattern. The ships sailed a straight line through the exact center of the claimed danger zone. Iranian media has been unreliable before. Yeah, the same outlet broadcasting the warning voice previously published false accounts of American retreats and phantom interceptions. Credibility is not an abstract concern here. It is a strategic currency. And Iran spent some of it this morning for nothing. The operation's purpose remains officially unconfirmed. 3 working theories exist. First, a deliberate freedom of navigation demonstration, the United States asserting operational sovereignty regardless of Iranian threats. Second, escort duty for commercial vessels. Commercial tanker traffic has not stopped entirely, and some ships from China, Japan, and South Korea are still moving oil through. A few are even routing toward American ports to load crude. The presence of warships alongside them would be protective without being overtly aggressive. Third, preliminary mine detection. The active sonar sweeps and unmanned underwater vehicles can map seabed anomalies without specialized mine countermeasure vessels. If you look at the speed of the warships, you will notice it was steady and predictable. Mine hunting ships move slowly and erratically. These did not. So mine clearance is unlikely as the primary mission, but seeding sensors or deploying autonomous sweep drones ahead of a larger operation is not impossible. Former President Trump added another layer. He claimed Iran's mine-laying capabilities have already been neutralized through prior strikes. He framed ongoing clearance as a global service to trading nations including China and Germany. Whether that is accurate or political positioning, the effect is the same. The narrative shifts from Iranian control to Iranian obsolescence. The opposite of a rising threat is a hollowed one, and the warships sailing through empty water reinforce that opposite. Now, the diplomatic layer. Negotiations are happening in Pakistan. Iran sent roughly 70 delegates. That is not a token presence. That is a war room in suit form. Economists, security analysts, diplomats, some linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. If you look at delegation composition alone, you will notice Iran is negotiating as a state that plans to survive whatever comes next. They are not sending ultimatums, they are sending expertise. Yet Iran arrived without its conditions met. No ceasefire in Lebanon, no release of frozen assets. U.S. officials confirmed no agreement on fund unfreezing. Strikes in Lebanon continue. Iranian officials had said they would not attend unless those 2 demands were satisfied. They attended anyway. That is the pivot. Either the conditions were negotiating theater all along, designed to extract maximum concessions by appearing to walk away, or Iran assessed that walking away entirely carried a greater cost than compromising. Both possibilities reveal the same truth. Iran is recalculating. The mine's bluff was part of that calculation. The failed transit broke it. China is moving too. Reports indicate preparation to supply Iran with new air defense assets. Man-portable air defense systems. Think of a shoulder-fired missile, like a sniper rifle for aircraft. Low-flying helicopters and strike jets become vulnerable. Previous conflicts show man-pads can down aircraft below 3,000 feet in seconds. If hostilities resume, this changes the air equation overnight. The irony is sharp and plain. While Iran loses credibility at sea, it may be building capability in the sky. One domain crumbles, another armors up. Iran's relationship with its proxy network is straining as well. Hezbollah and other allied groups expect material support and strategic cover. Continued strikes without visible Iranian retaliation erode trust. A patron who cannot defend is a patron who loses followers. That is not speculation. That is organizational physics. Loyalty in asymmetric networks flows upward only when protection flows downward. The historical depth matters here too. Iran's current posture is not invented. The Qajar dynasty of the 19th century ceded influence over Gulf waterways to Britain through unequal treaties. The Islamic Revolution of 1979 was partly a reaction to perceived foreign domination of Iranian resources and routes. Every generation of Iranian strategists has studied the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage point against external pressure. What is happening today is the latest chapter of that centuries-long calculation. The bluff, the mines, the warnings, the delegation in Pakistan, all of it is a modern expression of an old instinct: control the throat, control the price. But instinct without capability is theater, and theater only works if the audience believes. This morning, the American warships treated the Strait of Hormuz like any other international waterway. They did not ask permission. They did not slow down. They did not deviate. The water did not explode. And the silence confirmed what satellite data and intelligence assessments had already suspected. The mines were either not there, or not findable, or not functional. Iran's most powerful bargaining chip in the maritime domain was revealed as a card folded face down. Return to the hook. At 6:03, two warships entered a channel that was supposed to be lethal. They exited intact. The frozen image from the opening was the water itself, waiting for violence that never came. That image is now resolved. The water is just water, and Iran's bluff is the cost of survival. Not military cost, credibility cost. In a negotiation where leverage is everything, losing the appearance of control over the world's most critical oil choke point is not a setback. It is a surrender without a signature. 70 delegates sit in a room in Islamabad right now, behind closed doors, with no mines to point to, with no ships turning back, with conditions unmet and a transit unmolested. The only map they hold that still matters is the one drawn by what the Americans just proved possible. A straight line through open water, nothing stopping them, nothing at all.